Right, for those who've got Parkinson's, they must understand they're not alone. There are lots of people with Parkinson's, and we all understand exactly what they're going through. And sometimes it feels very lonely, and you feel you're the only person in the world who's got the problems you've got.
Right now, I'm talking to Guy Deacon, a British national who is currently traveling through Africa in his VW camper van in a bid to raise awareness on Parkinson's disease. And he just really aims to start the conversation about Parkinson's in places where, well, it's pretty much unheard of. And he has now reached Namibia. Yay, welcome to the land of the brave. And he's joining me now in studio to tell us more about it. Guy, welcome to the land of the brave, as we call it.
Thank you very much. I don't feel very brave, but it's very good to be here.
No, yeah, I'm sure you're one of the bravest that I am yet to really have the pleasure to talking to. So you're embarking on this journey of creating awareness on Parkinson's disease. What really stirred it in your spirit to say, this is what I am doing?
It goes back well before I was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and when I was at school, actually, I received a book, and on the cover there was a picture of some people travelling through Africa, and it was iconic, and I thought, that's what I want to do when I grow up. And then when I joined the army, I had the opportunity to travel a fair bit when I was young, as a young officer. And on one occasion, I came across an American couple who were travelling through the Sahara in a VW camper van. I thought, that's pretty cool. Yeah. That's what I want to do. When I have the time and I'm grown up, I'll do it. And of course, it took until I retired to have that much time. And so that's always been the plan. And the fact that I had Parkinson's just doubled my resolve to do it, and to prove to people that just because I had Parkinson's didn't mean to say I couldn't do what I wanted to do. So it's been a long, long plan. And I've been thinking about it for many, many years, and I'm now finally doing it. Well, I'm now approaching the end of it, of course.
Were you a bit apprehensive or scared? Like you said, this is something that you wanted to do before you even had Parkinson's, but were you apprehensive a little bit now with the disease?
When I started, I wasn't, and that was in 2019, before COVID. I just retired from the army, literally 2 months before, and I was still quite fit and healthy and everything like that, although I had the disease. And the first part of the journey was actually not too difficult. But when I went back to UK during COVID and came back again 2 years later, I suddenly became very conscious that my condition had got worse and things were more difficult, and I was quite wary of that. And it's definitely the case that from Sierra Leone onwards, it's been much more difficult than I thought it would be because of Parkinson's.
Let's talk about, the condition, because for some, you are the face of Parkinson's. We're unaware, or it's even if we do have a family member who has it, we don't know what Parkinson's actually looks like and what are some of the conditions. If you can elaborate a little bit about that.
Yes, most people think of Parkinson's as people who are bent over, they walk in a stumbly sort of way, and they shake a lot, and they don't speak, but they mumble and they stutter over their words and all these things. And that's the normal sort of view of Parkinson's, because that's the commonest type. I have something slightly different. In fact, every single person is a bit different.
Ah, I see.
And I am much more rigid. So I find that I can't move sometimes. I'm static, and my balance is very bad, so I have to lean against the wall rather than fall over. And so I'm quite different to other people in that respect. But they're all the same sort of family of problems associated with the lack of dopamine in the brain. And that's the substance which allows the nervous system to work properly, and then the muscles to work properly. And if you haven't got enough dopamine, which I haven't, then your muscles don't get the right messages through the nervous system, and they either behave strangely and they twitch and tremble, or they don't do anything. And in my case, they don't do anything at all. But the pills do help, and if the pills are working properly, which they normally do, then people wouldn't even notice I've got it, which is quite frustrating, because when they don't look, then I'm quite bad.
Yeah.
And so I live with the problem in isolation in some ways, because I don't tend to go out and about when I'm not at my best, and they only see me at my best. So it's quite an unusual condition in that respect.
What I hear you saying is that Parkinson's has its own spectrum of conditions, and if that is the case, from your travels in Africa, have you found that it is easily misdiagnosed, maybe on the continent, or no?
It is misdiagnosed because people don't know much about it. And the first thing that people would normally happen is people would notice it in themselves, and they would see they've got a problem, and because they would be shaking and all the rest of it. But there are other reasons for having tremor which are not necessarily related with Parkinson's, and people make all sorts of excuses, as I did as well. before I was diagnosed, I was conscious that things weren't quite right, but I couldn't possibly believe it was Parkinson's.
Yeah.
I just thought I had a trapped nerve or something like that. But when a neurologist has a look at you and says this is what it is, and they know what to look for in detail, then it's fairly obvious, and the symptoms all stack up and they tell the same story. But in this country, because there aren't that, well, not this country, but this continent, there aren't that many neurologists. And GPs don't always know what they're looking at either. And they sometimes blame stroke. That's quite a normal misdiagnosis. And it's not the first thing that people jump to. They don't think you've got Parkinson's because it's generally associated with an aging population anyway.
Yes.
Rather than the young population. But the young people are getting it more and more and more as time goes on, actually. And that's a big worry because it's a long time to have Parkinson's if you get it when you're young.
I'm speaking to Guy Deacon, who is traveling through Africa in his VW camper van in a bid to raise awareness on Parkinson's disease. So right now, we're just going to head on over to Alicia Keys as she serenades us with No One, and then we'll be right back to Guy, who's going to tell us what his most fond memory of Africa is thus far and what he will be doing during his awareness journey. 99 FM, your inspiration station. Still talking to Guy Deacon, who is currently traveling through Africa in his VW camper van in a bid to raise awareness on Parkinson's disease. And, we just wrapped up talking about how it's really hard to diagnose Parkinson's, especially in Africa, if mostly because we don't have a lot of neurologists, and so if you just go to the GP, you need to go further on because again, Parkinson's, like I've learned today, is also on a spectrum of conditions for you to be aware of. So, Guy, Africa has been your love for the longest time. Your fondest memory traveling through the continent is?
My fondest memory. It's not a single memory. It's a broad experience that I've enjoyed throughout my most recent travels, and I've discovered before, and that is the extraordinary warmth of people and kindness of people, probably including you, who out of the blue come out and are just incredibly helpful, friendly, and kind when you wouldn't necessarily expect it. And I've had a few trials and tribulations along my journey with breakdowns and goodness knows what. And there's always been somebody there to look after me and be kind to me and scoop me up and at times when I least expected it. So when my morale has been low and I've been thinking, gosh, how can I continue? There's always been somebody who's just come out of nowhere and helped me and looked after me and put me back on the rails and got me going again. And it's an extraordinary experience, unlike anything I've ever seen in Europe before, where people are busy going about their lives and rushing. Here, people they have time and they care and they give you time and they give you help, and that is a wonderful experience, which is quite unlike anywhere else.
Yeah. No, we are beautiful in that way, I must say. It's extraordinary in that way. But in this, you raising, awareness, how are you going to go about that? Are you going to be engaging communities? Where can people also follow the journey in case they want to meet you and speak to you and talk to you? How are you going about it?
There are two ways we're doing it, really. First of all, we're making a film which will hopefully be distributed widely, and we're not doing it to make money, we're doing it to get the story out. That's what the film's all about. And secondly, as I go through each country, I have appeared on radio and or television and in the newspaper and started the conversation. And we've interviewed medical officers, we've interviewed individuals with Parkinson's, and we've got people to talk about it. And it has generated some discussion, I'm delighted to say. For example, in Liberia, people came up to me in the street, never having met before, and said, "Are you Guy Deacon? We heard you on the radio yesterday, and we want to know more about it." Because people do want to know about Parkinson's, because people don't think it exists, but it absolutely does exist. It just isn't recognized as such. And many people have said, that explains it. My aunt was like this, or my grandfather was like that, and it might be the reason why he behaved the way he did. And it's often the case. And all I'm trying to do is make sure people understand that it is there, and that if they can recognize it, then they can understand that that person has got something that's really quite difficult to live with, and they need care and attention and love. They obviously need pills and medication, but that's not so easy and costs money. But the first doesn't cost any money. And by understanding that, it can make the lives of those who've got it so much better. And I've heard stories of witchcraft, black magic, blame, all that sort of stuff, because there's no cause and there's no cure. It's just a straightforward lack of dopamine, and it's nobody's fault. It's just the way it is. And so, if we can get people past the stigma of Parkinson's and look after those people that've got it, it'll make a big difference.
Oh, sorry. That's Guy's phone, unfortunately.
I'll tell you about that in a minute.
In a little bit. Just to, actually, we're about to wrap up, but I'm going to let you
I'm really sorry.
That. It's okay.
And you'll notice that it takes me a long time to get my phone out of my pocket. Because
It does. In the meantime, actually, because I need to get ready. Let me just switch off that. I need to get ready for Maggie for the news. We will conclude this on the other side of the news with Maggie, because he needs to tell you the story about his favorite song that we were talking about off air in terms of Lionel Richie. 99 FM, your inspiration station. And before we were interrupted by Guy's call live on the air, we were still talking to him about his travels through Africa in a bid to raise awareness on Parkinson's disease. And we just listened to Dancing on the Ceiling with Lionel Richie. Guy, please tell the listeners why this song is one of your beauties, and what do you want to use it for?
I'm very nervous about saying this, because I have to stick to my words, and I might be able to change my mind. No, what I said was, when I finally go to the pearly gates and up to heaven, I'd like that to be played at my funeral when I'm taken out of the church. I think it's a cheerful song. It'll cheer everybody up when I go.
It's very cheerful. You will be, dancing on a different kind of ceiling, but dancing nonetheless. So just to surmise, what advice, Guy, do you have for people that are living with Parkinson's, and also those that are, family members and friends, affected by a family member who does have Parkinson's?
Right. For those who've got Parkinson's, they must understand they're not alone. There are lots of people with Parkinson's, and we all understand exactly what they're going through. And sometimes it feels very lonely, and you feel you're the only person in the world who's got the problems you've got, and you wish the earth would open up and swallow you, because it's very difficult to live with. And at those moments, remember, there are other people in exactly the same boat, and they're there to help you, and they're there to talk to you, and they're there to encourage you, and they're there to give you strength. And by talking to people who've got the same problem as you, it makes life much easier and much more bearable. So it's not the end of the world, and you will live a long time, and each day is a battle, but you must try and win it. And little victories are a really good thing. And I'm doing this journey, despite the difficulties, to prove that you can do what you want to if you want to do it badly enough. It's jolly difficult sometimes, but just do what you want to do and don't give in to Parkinson's. But the real message is to the families of those people who've got Parkinson's. It's a miserable condition to have, and your family member, father, mother, cousin, uncle, aunt, probably isn't telling you what it's really like. And they really do need your help. And they don't need very much help, but they just need it when they need it really badly. And just understand what they're going through, and that would be a really good thing. And it'll make their life much more bearable than pills or doctors. Just loving them and caring for them and understanding what they're going through is most of the battle. And if you do that, you'll be making their lives much better.
Thank you so much for coming, and just let you have your parting words and your parting thanks.
I've loved my time here, and the journey has been a tremendous adventure for me. It's been my wish for a long time, and it's lived up to every expectations I've gone through, and I've met the most wonderful people on my journey, and I'm wondering what I'll do when I finish, because I'll just have nothing but a bunch of very good memories, and that's better than most.
Indeed, that really is. Guy, thank you so much for stopping in here at Tri-Fire Studios, and specifically also here on 99 FM. And I hope that you'll stay here in Namibia, because I know you're here for a bit, like 2 weeks, you said.
Another 2 weeks.
Another 2 weeks. So you're definitely going to enjoy it. Don't worry. It's going to be so much fun for you here in Namibia. So thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you very much. That was Guy Deacon. He is traveling through Africa in his VW camper van, and he's raising awareness on Parkinson's disease.